Morning everyone, welcome to Talk Tuesday today. I'm going to be talking today all about the question, should I stay or should I go? And ever since I decided on that topic, I've had that song going around in my head, should I stay or should I go? Anyway, it is something that crops up often in life, a decision about whether to stay in a particular situation. It could be in your career, it could be in your relationship, it might be where you live, but it is a common question that crops up, and it's one that we seem to spend an inordinate amount of time thinking about, going round and round in our heads. Hi Claire, thanks for being with me today. We tend to go round and round in our heads thinking about whether we should stay in a particular situation or leave it, and we just agonise over it, and we tend to try and rationalise our way to a decision. So we might draw up a list of pros and cons, we might reason as to why a certain way is the right way to go, even though inside we may be feeling very different. And we tend to worry about leaving what is our so-called comfort zone, basically the situation we know. But the thing is, if we're agonising about it, it's actually not a comfort zone at all, it's more of a discomfort zone, because it's causing us discomfort to be going round and round in this spiral of thoughts. And the reason why we agonise is usually just fear. It's fear of the unknown, it could be fear of failure for whatever it is that we're thinking of doing, and it could be fear of getting it wrong. But the two things about that: one thing is that we can never get it wrong, because whatever we decide to do, it's always going to be part of our experience in life, and an experience that we learn from and we grow from, because everything is. So we need to try and get over that feeling that we could somehow get it wrong. But the second thing is that if we stay wherever we are, or in whatever situation we're in, we're then preventing ourselves from getting to another thing or another place, another situation, which could be amazing for us. By staying stuck and in that perpetual spiral of worrying about it, we're preventing the future from coming to us, in a sense. You might have heard the expression that nature or the universe abhors a vacuum. So if we get rid of a situation, if we leave a situation, it opens us up to something new coming in, and nature, the universe, will rush to fill that vacuum that we've created if we do leave a situation. So I'll give you a quick example from my own life. However many years ago it was now, 5-6 years ago, I'd been spending ages agonising over whether to leave my career in law, and I just went over and over the same thoughts constantly, because I knew I wanted to go, really. I wasn't happy in the situation anymore, but I was concerned about how I was going to fund my life, basically, without this salary that law was giving me. And so, that was just an example of me using so-called logic to try and override my gut feeling inside. Anyway, I was getting this constant niggle that I needed to go, and it was getting louder and louder. And then one morning I was on my way into work, on the commute, on the train into Birmingham, and I just got this sudden knowing inside that was it, I had to go. And that feeling overrode all of my concerns about how I was going to fund my life. I still didn't know at that point, had no clue, but I just knew that I had to get out. So I went through that day, excuse me, went back home again that evening, and sorry, got a frog in my throat. I was really excited about it, so I went and told my partner, who I wasn't then living with, that I'd made a decision that I was going to leave my job, and he was fine with it. And I said, but I'm probably going to have to move house, because I couldn't see how I was going to be able to afford the mortgage and pay for me and my daughter to live by staying where we were, and I needed to move to a cheaper area. And he said within a few minutes, well, why don't you move in with me? And that just wasn't something that had been on my radar at all. I hadn't even thought about that as a possible way to be able to afford things. And that is in fact what happened. So in about the November, I handed in my notice. It was a 3-month notice period. So by February I left. I'd already put my house on the market, and in the May it completed and I moved in with my partner, who's actually now my husband. So that's just an example of what can happen when you create that vacuum by leaving the situation that your gut knows isn't right for you, but somehow your reason is trying to keep you there, because in my case it was the cost of living thing. I didn't know how I was going to afford it. So I'm just telling you that as an example of what can happen when you open up that space in your life. Amazing things can happen, and usually they are things that you can't anticipate. So anyway, I told you that I was going to tell you an easy way to help you make that decision, and it's something called the body test. So if you've got a situation that you're wondering whether you should stay in or whether you should leave, I recommend trying the body test. It's very simple. All you need to do is sit down quietly somewhere and then bring to mind whatever the situation is that you're thinking about. And let's just use my example of whether to leave law or not. I didn't know this test then. It's something I've learned subsequently, and I may have got to the decision earlier if I'd known about it, but that's by the by. So you sit down quietly, and as I say, using my example, I would now think to myself, should I leave law? Now, instantly you get a feeling inside of what you should do. If your body reacts and kind of says, yes, you know, you feel excited, you think, yes, I really need to get out of it, go with that as the answer, because your mind will then click in and start doing its reasoning thing, like, but how am I going to afford things, and what on earth am I going to do for a job? Ignore all of that, just concentrate on the feeling inside. But if, on the other hand, you then sort of, that's, should I leave? And then your next stage of it is sitting there and thinking, should I stay? And in my case, what would have happened is that I would have got that horrible kind of contracted, twisted feeling inside, where my body's kind of going, no, I'm really, you know, I'm not happy. I don't feel good about this, but I do feel good about leaving. That's what you need to trust, is that feeling. And it can work in any kind of decision. It doesn't just have to be something, a big life decision like should I stay or go. And you can practice it with something that, you know, might be a simple thing for you. But the other thing to remember, of course, is that you don't have to go with it. You know, you have still got control. Whatever your gut might be saying, you don't have to go with it. But if you want to have that happy life that we all want, then I highly recommend going with your gut, even if you don't know the outcome. You probably won't know the outcome, but your gut, your inner self, your higher self, if you like, will know what's right for you. And so that is a really, really good way of making that key life decision. So it is something that I actually talk about a lot with my clients. You may know that I have a 12-week step-by-step program, which is called Find Your New Dawn, which is all about getting to a life of fulfillment. And that is one of the things that I talk about. We have a whole module, I should say, on the decision-making process, but I do recommend the body test to anybody who has to make a big decision. It really does help. So thanks as always for watching, and I will be back here hopefully a similar time next Tuesday. So have a good day and a great week in the meantime. Bye for now.